that the United States would rank right up there historically as one of the most powerful countries ever to evolve in our society, or evolve with us as human beings. So we saw a workforce back in the old days. You start looking at tools like slavery. You start looking at tools like indentured slavery. Different tools were used to describe who was working, who was doing the work, who was telling you what work to do, and who was making decisions on where the workforce should be applied to. So way back in antiquity, when the pharaohs and them wanted a big old pyramid built, he didn't go out there and build it. He gathered a workforce together and he built it. Nowadays, when Google or Apple decided that they wanted this huge plant to operate from, Steve Jobs didn't come back from heaven and build it. They put together a workforce, everything from designing to actually the people that go out and cut the wood, do the heavy construction, hammer the nails, put in the electronics. So it's just a critical part of life. And one of the things that you find it intimately involved with yourself personally is your career choices. What are you gonna do? Now, like I said, I'm gonna kind of tie in a little bit because it's African American History Month. When the African first came to this country, he was working for free most of the times. And as he evolved as a worker, he didn't have too many career choices. He couldn't decide that, well, maybe I want to discover something. Maybe I want to join the Navy and go sail the seven seas or anything like that. Really limited and confined to the work environment for which he was chosen. I'm saying that to you because you have some choices now. You're sure done with high school, done with a lot of things, and now you're out here trying to figure out what am I going to do? What kind of skills do I need to get it done? And all this is just absolutely critical to us in the community, particularly if we're going to deal with some of the critical problems that we face universally. And say if we're talking about climate control, say if we're talking about, and notice I haven't gotten into who's employed and who isn't employed. But what we're talking about is what is our country's environment, where we are. It's now a global economy, and you have to admit that you're going to be competing for jobs with people from China, with people from France, with people from Africa, with people from the Caribbean. I mean, it's competitive. It's a market out there. So developing the type of workforce skills really is going to depend on what you really want to do. So in looking back upon the African when he came to America, you'll find that in the beginning, not really many choices. But it didn't stop him from trying to figure out a way to develop his skill level or develop himself to find a different work. One of the great leaders of the African work movement, workforce development movement, happened in the church situation with the African Methodist Episcopal Church situation, where one of the first goals for the church situation was education. He said, the first thing, I don't care where you're coming from, slave, if you escaped, if you just got here, how you got here, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need an education. You're gonna have to develop your skill level. And that, true as that was back in 1787, it's even more true today. I don't care where you're coming from. If you just got out of jail, if you just got out of high school, if you just got off of welfare, if you just became unemployed, just got fired off of your job, you're going to have to determine what you're going to do. The culture will push you toward developing a type of skill that will make a contribution to the culture. You can't make a contribution, you're gonna find yourself quickly searching, not finding your place, doing a lot of menial jobs while you try to figure out what it is you wanna do. And I can guarantee you, you look up 20 years from now, and you say, oh God, I started off as a bartender. I know I was just using it to get me through the school and everything, but now I got this degree, but I'm a bartender. Yeah, I had a dream to be a doctor. Yeah, I had a dream that I wanted to be an engineer, but I wound up being a bartender. Nothing wrong with it, I guess. But what I'm trying to employ to you is that you can control the development of yourself within the workplace. And the first steps you should look at is education. That's why you're here. And again, I want to emphasize, it's not where you're coming from, it's where you want to go. I mean, you can have 1,000 excuses for the struggle that's ongoing within you as you try to find out what it is you want to do. If you're trying to rise out of poverty, if you're a mother with 2 kids, if you've got disabilities, whatever it may be your situation, you're going to have to develop a skill that will allow the culture to accept you as you are because of what you can contribute in the workplace. Now that may mean you may have to start your own business. You may have to you may have to come up with something that the culture needs and start a business in it. You may have to learn leadership skills because you may have to bring, as your business grows, bring in other people that think like you, are interested in what you're trying to do, and are willing to work with you. And I emphasize working with as opposed to working for. Why? Because if you hear somebody tell you, I work for somebody, then I can almost get a hint that the person is not really into it. Oh, I work for AT&T. Oh, I work for Google. Well, I don't work for anybody, but I will work with anybody that shows the type of interest, and I have the skills that I think where I can participate in that work field. So I think what our leaders, what our developers, what our companies are looking for, they're not looking for people to work for them. They're looking for people to work with them. And you'll see the more successful businesses, the more successful and innovative businesses that grow in our country have people that work with them. Leadership that looks for people who can fit in. It's critical in every part of employment search. And so we're going to switch down from what's needed in the culture to how do you even deal with this job search type of thing. I know eventually I'm going to have to deal with it, but what's going on with it? Well, I can tell you that job search and looking for work is light years from when I started looking for work. Back in the old days when you took time to fill out a resume and You wanted everybody to know that you were this ambitious person who was trying to make a difference in everything. That used to go a long ways. But nowadays, what do you think? Is anybody here working? Anybody got a job, part-time, full-time? Is the job built into your career? Does that work you're doing now help you to start moving in the direction you want to move in as a career? Is that the reason why you took the job? That shows that that you systematically know what you want to do, and you're even starting to work in that field so you can develop your skill level, as we like to say, in real time. So it's not just learning, but then you get the OJT, on the job training. So, capsulize. Workforce development. Just something that goes on, it's been going on since man has got into the work thing. Different kinds of characteristics of workforce. Slavery, indentured slavery, I forget what they call the sailors Shanghai, when you got Shanghai for a ship, you wound up loving the sea and developing a love for the sea or like that. There's different ways that we get into a job. Now we're in a position, I think, it's just my observation over the last 40 years, that you can direct your own pathway. You can develop a pathway from where you are to where you want to be. Again, I always say this, and I'll probably preach this part, but you can't go in half-stepping. You got to raise your skill level. You have to bring something to the table. And I ain't talking about just a degree. You have to be able to demonstrate your interest in a company. You have to be able to demonstrate if you want to start your own business, your game plan, a movable, flexible business plan. If you want to go back to the family and ask the family to invest in you or to get involved in the family business, you know you got to bring something back to them. They already got a success going. They want you to come back, but you got to bring something to the table. So, make sure that you don't waste your time in terms of developing your skill level. Now, I was talking about being a bartender. But you know, if somebody started out and decided, you know what, I always wanted to own my bar, so I'm gonna learn the bartending business, they'd have to study the book on how to make cocktails. Then they'd have to go and get some experience making cocktails. They might have to start off at the low end of the totem and be bringing the ice out to fill out the ice tray before the guy says, hey, why don't you spend an extra hour with me, I'll show you how to make this and that drink. Study this and study that. So no matter what it is, you're gonna have to get good at it. And the real important part about that is it's very true. If you're doing something that you wanted to do, that you love to do, that you trained yourself to do, then it's not a job. It's you. It's your profession. If you wanted to be a doctor, you became a doctor, and now you're practicing what you want to do, then that's not a job, that's who you are. You've taken the time, you put in the time, and the reward should be in itself that you're doing what you want to do, and it demonstrates to you as a person that you have the ability to control your life, to participate in something that you wanted to participate. And it also, we always need a gut check. We always need to check ourselves out. And we can check ourselves out on how we develop in our workplace. I could start talking about the details of what you should say to an employee when you're looking for work and all that, but I saved that for junior high and high school students. Because they're the ones that don't take any kind of job, because they're after the money. But you need to narrow it down and get with it. You're adults. We need you out here. We need a decent workforce. We need an economic workforce that can allow us to share our wealth with everybody in our communities. We need people that are talented and earn enough and sharing enough that that they'd rather spend $200 or $300, $400 million building something or doing something else than to promote themselves for the presidency. That's what we're kind of looking for. That's what our culture is kind of. Anybody can buy the president. We know that already. You know, that probably was established way back in the '60s before your time, when Kennedy and his dad bought votes in Chicago to secure his election. So what we are looking for, what our culture is demanding, if we're to push forward with this idea that everybody has this inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, in America, you know, you can't be broke in pursuit of happiness. The two don't really go together in our culture and everything. So this whole effort that you're putting forth now is the time to give with it. You know, and I'm not saying this about age. I'm saying this about your environment. This is the top learning institute. You can walk away from it with no accolades. You can walk away from it and people take notice of you right from Jump Street. You can keep to yourself, learn what you want to learn, and then proceed out into the world. You have just a fantastic opportunity. And I hate to admit to it, but the system is designed that way. We go all over the world. And people can't wait to get into a USF or a San Francisco State or University of California. I'm going to be returning back to Berkeley in the summer because it's the easiest way to get back in, and work on a doctorate. I convinced them finally to let me do this. I don't even know if I can do it, if I have the mental capacity to do it. But I'm telling you that carve a pathway. Get serious about it. Because in your pathway, you're gonna have room for jello. There's gonna be time to play. But what we need out here is we need highly skilled people, high skills, a great caring for the community, for the people around you, because there are a lot of people services that are needed, a great caring for the development and improvement of products, so that, for example, we're doing some things over on Treasure Island, and they said, well, one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna bring the grounds back ecologically. We want to replant all the old plants that used to be on the island and return it back to its ecological high point. So one of the things I said to him was that, well, you know, you got a lot of, I know at least 3 or 4 women who can grow anything. You know those people, you ever got a grandmother or mother who can just
the green thumb,
put it in, drop it in the ground, and you don't even know, next thing you know, you got this big old plant growing and everything, and you're like, me, I have to be careful I don't kill plants and stuff like that. But you have people that are great at that. So that's one of the first things I did. I said, well, you know, you guys, we got people on this island, low-income housing, low and no income, but they got skills. And I think you should bring them on board and let them put their natural skills together, give them some training so they can be a part of this ecological redesign. I said it at a community meeting of all places. Community meeting, and they had to come in and talk about, they tell you what they're gonna do and they give you 2 minutes to repudiate or talk about what you would like to see done. But, I must say, Supervisor Haney thought about it, put together, one of the staff put together a program where they're offering ecological training for the residents in the program. So now we got people in their late 40s, mid 50s, this is like a dream come true to them. You know how if you're a gardener, you know how that is. If you're a fisherman and you get a boat and you get to go fishing and do what you want to do, so they're looking. Of course, now I got to go out and recruit. Say, hey, did you read this program? This is a great program. They're gonna pay you. You know, it's a good opportunity. Raise your income level, and in a little while, you'll be eligible to buy housing on Treasure Island instead of being a part of the moving out of Treasure Island. And as they like to say, the gentrification happens and you're out. No, you have skills, raise the skill level. The community needs you to help bring this particular island back. You're here, this is your home, be a part of that. Grow, get you a good job. You know, once it gets right down to it and you know how to take care of the earth, that can be $65,000 to $100,000 now on up, depending on what part of the EPA you want to work in and everything, and they're desperate for that. So I'm using that again as an example of how having a desire, wanting to do something, figuring out what your career choices are, and then pushing and driving toward it, preparing yourself for it, feeling good about what you're learning. And if you're not feeling good about what you're learning, then kicking your foot through the door and saying, hey, I know there's more to this than this. You're gonna have to come up a lot harder, teacher. What do you mean, teacher? Or asking the type of questions that will satisfy you in learning your field and becoming good at your field and everything. If I may, everybody doesn't have to participate, but I'd just like to go around the room and just ask maybe one sentence if people have decided what their career choices are. And I'll start with you, Dr. Daniels. What is your career choice? Are you specializing in any particular field now?
Well, this year, just recently having completed my doctorate, I'm particularly interested in reentry and mass incarceration and how there's limited access for folks who are coming from outside. So that is how I got involved in this class. It is what my dissertation surrounds. My dissertation is on finding ways to bring culturally relevant pedagogy into jail programs. So I was noticing that after 10 years of working inside, that the programs were not necessarily relevant to the culture of the folks who were inside. So my goal is to find a permanent tenured position that will house me and the resources that I bring and the passion that I bring to connect folks who are coming from inside into that institution. Now, I've high hopes that somehow this fire may catch here, but I'm planting seeds in other places as well, because this is a very important issue and it must be done. And since I have access, I feel like I'm the person that needs to do it.
It's articulate, of course, very well thought out and clear path. He's gotten to the point where he can actually start working on the particulars of it now. But he's also known as Dr. Daniels. He's he ain't known as Red's dog anymore. That won't fly for what he's trying to do. No matter how much he may want to keep the tag, and believe me, he likes to still do his music. You know, all you gotta do is say, man, I'm doing this. He wanna be a DJ, and the whole bit. He's still into that. But for what he wants to do, he's known as Dr. D. I call him Dr. D, Dr. Daniels. Man, have you decided on what you're gonna do?
Let's share our names again too, I'm sorry, because we got a bunch of new students too.
I'm Sol. Still thinking.
Well, let me ask you this. What was your dream when you were, you can go back as far as you want on the dream thing, but what was your dream job to you? What did you ever have a dream that you wanted to do something or be something or be somewhere?
Sorry, I don't do well.
It's okay. It's all right. It's not that big of a trip and everything. Just good food for thought. Think about it. How about you, dude? Have you decided? Is there something that you want to do for yourself?
Social activist.
Social activist. Okay. Can you kind of give us a little bit? Give us like a one on that. Kind of tell us what that means for you and what that would entail you doing.
I don't have a specific plan right now, just starting activist work here in the Bay and moving forward from there.
What are you active in? What social are the issues that you're in?
Currently right now, a lot of climate change, indigenous movements, and hopefully trying to get more into incarceration.
My man, is there something that has grabbed you and is pulling you in a certain direction in terms of your career?
Yeah, definitely. But there's two aspects to realistically pursuing, well, there's one pursuing a job, and then there's pursuing a career. And like you said, when you love your job, you never have to go to work. So I've always been working towards being an entertainer and working in the entertainment industry. But reality sets in, and so I have to fall back on what I know, which is carpentry. And so I'm doing a lot of things, but yes, my dream is to get back into the entertainment industry, pick up where I left off, which is in music and acting and directing and writing and all those things.
Are you skill-wise, are you working on your music, you working on your songwriting?
I've got a song
You got
catalog of.
You got a piano hanging around, you carry it around your neck or what?
I didn't bring my piano today.
So be careful, because there's one in the corner.
But I have a large catalog of songs. I've recorded probably over 150 of them myself. But that's what I did for a living before I went to prison, and I've just recently been released. So I have a long road back, and those doors are not necessarily still open per se, because, you have to open doors to get into the room where everything's happening. And I've been away for so long that, all those avenues are no longer viable. The people I worked with, some of them have passed away, some have moved on, some of them are big-time directors, but, am I still a valid commodity as an actor? I can't be a teen idol anymore, so sad. But I could play somebody's dad.
Great.
Or teacher, or
A
professor.
great actor. Or a great actor.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, I wanna kinda, light a fire on you about that, there is a lot of work in the acting community. Whether you got a good pair of hands and can sell rings. I saw a group selling jewelry. Have you guys seen the Jerry commercial when the group comes out of the background and starts wooing the guy that, hey, that's not what that means, but what that means is for you to get this ring, and they harmonize and stuff like that. So I'm putting that to you to say that that you're right, there is a reality that sits in. But there's no closed doors in the field you're open. The field you wanna be in, the doors are way wider open than they've ever been.
Well, I came here today to open more doors.
Okay,
That's the bottom line.
okay, good. But I want to encourage you and tell you, and tell you that as you work in your field, you start seeing even more doors. So
Exactly.
stay with it. Sir?
Jesse, as far as career, right now I'm spinning in circles. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I just have a zest for life, and I'm happy to just have something to do every day, you know? That's it.
Very interesting way to put things. Very well. I'm gonna get over here, I won't have that much time. Where are you at? Are you decided on anything you may wanna? Not yet? Is there something hitting you right now that has kind of grabbed you and is pulling you toward it, some profession or?
I'm currently a dance major. I would love to continue that somehow, possibly be part of a company or something. As, I would love to dance forever, but bodies sometimes deteriorate and things like that, so.
But dance is what you wanted to be and what you're headed for, is that fair to say?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Well, put more than hope into it, because you're going after it, so just go for it, and everything. The minute somebody tells you that you cannot dance, then I'd be concerned. But you're not past that stage now. How about you?
Yes, definitely. Similar to Isabel, I am a dance major, but I'll be graduating soon. I started a career as a dance teacher recently and like to pursue it further. Also, along with Isabel, bodies don't really last forever. I've already torn my ACL, so I have no injuries, and I'd like to be a physical therapist for dancers later on in life. So that's kind of where things at.
How about you, Brett? What's up with, where you at now?
It's interesting because whenever I try to take control of my life, I don't do so well. But when I let go, life takes me in the direction of my purpose. And I'm at a job right now that I took just because I wanted some better paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come in contact with people who were just like me 32 years ago, and 3 of them have picked me to be their mentor and called me back, and I was just like, what? And some are just lost. I see me like, oh, you're lost, and you'll take time to find your way. It's just not right now. And so I tell them, I said, hopefully, but it's weird because I didn't take the job to be in nobody's life. I took the job just for money, and the job took me where I needed to go. So one thing I find out is that when I just let go and be me, stepping stones are put in my way, and I just step on them, and it takes me where I need to go. So my purpose in life is not a job or a career, but whatever I was designed to be on earth.
And, you, sir?
When I went to prison, I didn't really have no goal in life. Goal was just to run amok on the street. But while I was incarcerated, in a paralegal certificate, I'm now going to Purdue University online, trying to turn that into a law degree. My goal in life is to be the first ex-felon to be a California senator. Because I think the people who make the laws should at least have a background on what they're trying to make laws about.
So and I wanna use this last example and then I'll call it a lecture. Again, I wanna repeat to you, it's not where you're coming from, it's where you wanna go. And it's not the time, it's not the period, it has nothing to do with anything. It's where your spirit is. This other gentleman's spirit is so strong that he says, I'll let my spirit guide me because that's the best way I do things. Now, I thought I was taking a job for money, but I wound up finding that I have people that are looking up to me and that there's some sort of leadership component of me that wants to get out and go to work. And that's a spiritual. Here's a gentleman, no matter how much time, he still wants to be a senator. And damn it, if Bernie at 70-something years old can run for the president, you sure in the hell can be a state senator or a U.S. senator, whatever. Don't let nothing hold you back on that. And if you need to bring the law up, challenge the law, whatever you gotta do, but it's a great goal to have. And finally, I didn't get to everybody, but I just want to reinforce this idea of what workforce really is. And the idea of individuals controlling themselves as a member of the workforce, and then being a positive part of the workforce that contributes to our community, helps our community improve. And please, don't let the I don't know how to say this except, don't let them bullshit about a lot of stuff, you know. And they can't if you get down and dig in and get the skills you need. If you're going after the skills, and somebody wants to tell you about a dance move, if you haven't practiced and you haven't gotten yourself together, you'll be scared to take a chance on that dance move. But if you've been working, you know your ankles are doing pretty good, you know you did a 1.5, something that nobody else did, then you're not scared to try a new dance move. So everybody, take a chance on yourself. You're investing in yourself. Go ahead and put the full Monty behind it. And I promise to come back and check on you. Because you know what? It's amazing how time flies. And I'm always surprised nowadays when I see guys that took a 4-month heavy construction training program, and I'll be just trudging along, and here's this guy coming with the plans under his helmet on. Oh, Mr. Hooker, where you going? I said, who is that? And it was 15 years ago, this guy had come off the streets and decided he wanted to have a career in heavy construction because he liked building stuff, and he had 2 daughters to take care of, and he was doing exactly what he wanted to do. And that same thing is open to you all. And thanks for giving me time, and I hope you enjoyed the food, and I hope to see you again. I'm open to questions, that kind of stuff.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Hooker?
I do.
Sure.
So as a person that wants to get back in the acting industry and music industry, I would welcome any and all information that would get me back to meet the people or talk to the people. I've actually went online and found a bunch of different agencies, and it doesn't work like it used to work.
Right.
When I was acting, you went to an agency or called up and made an appointment, you go down, meet the prospective agent, they give you some sides, you go look at the sides, you come back and do a read. Now it's like, no, you do it online and you send an online picture and that's it. So it's very odd to me, and it's lacks personable, this communication.
Well, 2 things. It's just a different method that people are communicating.
Oh, I get that.
So, get good at communicating via video. Take a bunch of videos. Hook up with somebody and say, take my funny side, take my serious side. Get to know how you affect people through video, so you can see how you'll be affecting people when you apply for things. The other part is, isn't there a guild or a union or something like that? I know that I used to want to
I'm a
be
member
in-
of SAG-AFTRA.
Okay.
So I'm a union member, so if you know anybody I can call, give me the number, I'll call them.
I'll tell you what, I don't mind kind of checking out some things and stuff. I remember HBO was up here for a minute, but that was a while ago and stuff. And there was another great program out of Los Angeles though, and it's called The Lamp Post. And they were bringing people in to, in Hollywood, it's still assistant to the assistant to the assistant, The first assistant is the coffee getter, the second assistant starts helping setting the scenes, following each other. and then before you know it, you're assistant. You gotta go shoot the movie over in Paris while the main director's shooting in London, that type of stuff. So, there is a stepping stone. Rich has my information. I do workforce development. I interview one-on-one clients. There's no charge for it. But I'm into career development. I can't, if you wanna just find you a little quick hustle, I'm not the guy for you, you know. And there are a lot, but I can direct you to a lot of people who can find you a program job or something like that, if that's what you're interested in. Sure.
Hi, Mr. Hooker, how are you?
I'm well,
Good
I'm well,
to
how
see
are
you
you?
again. Hi, class, I'm Georgia.
Georgia.
I want to ask you because I know that you were a small business owner at one point in time, and me as a former small business owner going through the educational process, not completing it, but going into a career that my spirit called me to as well. How would you advise myself as well as the students here on work-life balance? Because I tend to sometimes chase the dollar as opposed to where my spirit is going, and, you know, I kind of get a little off. So what would you say would be a good way to manage work-life balance?
Ooh, that's a very interesting question. Let me just simply say this, is that, the money comes with how good you are at your job. When you're good at your job, you usually can write your own check. I'm not into the money thing, and never have been. But if I drive a car, I like Mercedes. That's it. I know that the Mercedes people are not interested in whether or not I like money or not, but they're interested in know, do I have any? So, look at what you're trying to do, and particularly if it's a business. Because starting your own business is hard work. You have to raise your skill level. You may have to have multiple skills. The fundamental skill of the business itself, and then the skill of working with other people, the skill of a business plan, the skill of enacting and putting a business plan in. So that's part of it is just simply saying, what I'm gonna do, it will take care of. The career I choose will take care of me. It'll provide me with the things I need to live, the conditions I need to live. Now, if you're Mother Teresa, she chose a profession that was so important to her that she never even thought about the money. She never starved. She never could not do her job because she didn't have enough money. She never could not be who she was because of the money. In fact, when it was all over said and done, she probably turned down more money in a week than we might get in a lifetime. That's how powerful she became in her work skill. So do your job. Find out how you can do your job best. And you know what they say, you build a better mousetrap, you know, and our culture rewards something that works. Our culture says, my God, you know, you're doing this, what can I do to help you do this? I mean, that's a part of entrepreneurship in this culture. I hope that's a little something. Anybody else? Anybody want a job? Anybody looking for a job?
Career path chose, planned well for it, and taking classes, and it's to become an electrician, journeyman electrician. I even went into studying some of the stuff that's required for cabling and splicing fiber optic cables in the telecommunications industry. It's kind of well-rounded when you look at my resume. but I just can't get plugged in. It's a clicky lot here in the city, into IBEW, and that's my big goal, is to land in IBEW. And I found a place that I may go to work that's not union, that maybe give me the opportunity, and may be their rock star, but they install solar panels. And from what I understand, starting in 2021, all new residential construction is going to be required to have solar
Right.
installation on it. So
Right.
they may be the red hot thing coming. So
Let me say this to you.
I've been out
Solar is
90
here.
days, and that's all I've been working on. I've got a job, but it's a job. You know what I mean? It's just getting some money in my pocket.
Well,
It's not my career.
heavy construction is my specialty. And I can talk to you a lot about that electrical thing, and some directions I think you should be moving and everything. And maybe we'll talk after class and everything. I like to keep some information, schedule appointment with you.
Okay.
Because that's one area that I happen to be working extensively in now, heavy construction.
All right.
That's what's your name?
Les. My name is Les.
Okay, I'm hooking Les. Let's hook up. You just wanna share a little bit, talk a little bit about where they're at?
Right now, I work for the city and the county. Basically, it's a subcontract. I sit behind the desk, log probation guys in and out, make sure that they obey the rules of the house. I work from midnight to 8:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
That's the job. But what it allows me to do is I can go online with my computer at my boss's, plug into the Ethernet, and that's how come I'm going to Purdue University. I just took a test at Purdue University. It was all in paralegal because my certificate comes from Blackstone, and I passed their exam, and they gave me a bunch of college credits. So right now I'm classified as an undergraduate in law. I jumped like, this all had to do my studies in prison and what I did in prison. Like paralegal work in prison, writing 602s, being on the MAC rep. This is what all got me thinking about politics.
Wait till you get into law school, buddy, you're gonna have a great time. And I would suggest to you this. Take the LSAT. Take it now.
Stanford offered me a place as soon as I get my BS.
Don't worry about Stanford. Take the LSAT. I want you to test yourself. You're letting everybody else test you. Test yourself. See where you are. See, because law is such a great, we need great people in the law. You know, you got lawyers, as you saw, bend and twist and turn the law around, where, you know, they can manipulate it to where they want to use it. So you're talking about you wanna make laws and change laws. You've studied enough where I think you should go take a LSAT. It's an aptitude test, but you're not taking it for anybody but yourself. And then I'd like you to visit you don't have to go online, visit some law school. Visit. This one up here, go to the one, Berkeley must have 3 or 4.
I visited the one in Berkeley already. I worked in Berkeley for 6 months.
Hastings, whatever and everything like that. You know what? You're into a field that's so wide open, just go for it. I really mean that, just go for it. Just stop, worrying about if you can go get this from Purdue or go over here to get this or that. Go test yourself. Take that LSAT, because that LSAT score will get you into any college that you wanna go to. And the bottom part of that is that you take advantage of where you're coming from. Like, yeah, I was in prison. Yeah, I scored high on this LSAT. Or I didn't score high, but now that I know what you guys are looking for, I'm finna buckle down, see if I can knock this LSAT out and get on to where I wanna be so I can get my law degree. But you're a law undergraduate student, so undergraduate students usually sophomore year, then LSAT, if that's where they think they're gonna go. So I'm urging you, and I'm gonna push you in that direction.
Thank you.
To my GEO guys, I wanna say that Mr. Hooker will be here a little while after class. So that's what he specializes in. There's specific resources to you that he wants to make available. So he's made some time after class if you're interested. At this point, I would like to, first of all, give our other guests an opportunity to introduce yourself and walk into our learning community.
Sure, thank you. Hi, I'm Georgia Dewey, and I work with the American Legion as the president of their auxiliary on Van Ness. And I have a small business, it's a pop-up smoothie bar. I specialize in wellness and nutrition. And recently I had the opportunity to acquire a property in the Sunset Beach area, Sunset Ocean Beach area. And looking to create a transition housing program for the veterans in that location. And I also had the privilege to work side by side with Dr. Daniels, working with some of the students at the Middlebury University, which was quite thrilling and a shift in my career choice, needless to say. So I really enjoy working with students, I really enjoy education, but I would never walk away from wellness and health. I also dance on the side of technology.
Dancer. Okay, awesome. Welcome. Welcome to our learning community. I'm very proud of this group right here because they are curious and interested in learning, everything that I can see. So I am pulling out every resource that I have in the community to bring in here to share with you, not only book knowledge, not only the written word, but lived experience about what's really going on. So at this time, we want to give our TAs, Sadie and Raina, a big hand and welcome them to
Okay, are you guys down to drastically shift gears and make something a little bit in the last 2 seconds we have?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Would you guys rather, I will answer questions. So basically what we're gonna do, if you know me, you know I love gestures. I'm kind of inclined to like movement, as you guys know. So today's gonna be a little bit movement based, not super intense, not scary. We're gonna start off with 3 questions. Can we think about, maybe they can tie into the talk we had, like something, like I'm thinking where you've been, where I am now, where I'm headed, like something along those lines, or something else that's like maybe,
Percolate?
yeah,
In your brain?
you're feeling inspired. Just 3 random questions, don't think about it too much. Yeah.
How do I maintain balance?
Oh dang. Okay, let me tell you what the thing we're gonna do. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have these 3 questions, and then we're gonna quickly come up with our answers. And with those answers, we're gonna make a gesture from that answer. If you think you can tackle that with a gesture, maybe. But it's just like, when I do this with kids, I'm like, what's your favorite color? They're like, yellow, and then, you know. But I'm saying, like, just 3 questions that we think we can get a quick, maybe 1-word to 3-word answer to.
Am I happy?
Oof.
Can your answer be more than yes or no, though?
Ecstatic.
Huh?
Ecstatic.
How I'm feeling, maybe? How I'm feeling?
How do I feel?
How do I feel? Okay. Maybe we can do something like, I mean, it can be as big as like, what has been my biggest mistake? What do I love the most in life?
Where am I?
Where, where am I?
Yeah, like when you're like where have I been? Where am I?
Those
where am I
3? Should we
headed?
just do those 3? Where have I been?
Yeah.
We can do how I feel as like a
How do I
practice
feel?
one.
Where have I been? Where am I going?
What were my major turning points?
Uh-oh.
Is that our 3rd question?
Yeah, I think so.
My biggest turning point? My turning point, okay. So, I would like to give you guys like 64 seconds to think about your personal answers to these questions. If you need to write, you can do that. But don't think about it too much. We're gonna totally deconstruct this. Go. Think about your answers to this.
Yeah, every time they come to task and, you know, me voice my
Exactly,
yeah,
what I'm thinking.
and,
is how-
do, here I come.
That's
Do-
curious.
He just moved. He just moved.
Yeah.
Yesterday?
No, think of your answers. Think of your answers. How do you feel attached?
Oof.
You guys have your answers in your head? Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do with these is when I say, like when we commence, you're gonna go to a spot in the room by yourself, super internal, and come up with 3 gestures that represent the answers to these. And it doesn't have to be, like, for instance, if my answer were to be yellow, you can do yellow, or you can do, how does that word sound? Like for me, yellow sounds like, that's how yellow sounds to me, embodied. So how can you embody your answers in one simple gesture? You don't know what that means. It doesn't have to be super serious, right? Let's try it. Everyone stand up. And can we take an inhale and an exhale? Get in tune with yourself. Spread out. Don't be weird. Get in your own zone. Nobody's looking at you. You're not looking at anybody else. Come up with your 3 gestures. Give you about 2 minutes for your answers. Everyone's facing it. Can you face your own wall? Like you guys are face the wall. It can literally be your fingers can go like this and be gesture. It's not. Play some ambient.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I was gonna
Yeah,
try to
put some
my
music
speaker.
on, right?
Okay, all right.
DJ Daniels.
DJ, go DJ.
Go DJ, go DJ, go.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone have some? How many you got on average? 3, 2. Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute. Does anybody not have their 3 gestures? Everybody's got all 3 of them. Verbal response? So
Yeah.
everyone has their 3 gestures. Okay, awesome. So what we're gonna do is totally detach from that. And you're gonna, what are ways in which you can make variation in creating something? I wrote a couple on the board. You can change its level. We're totally just gonna like fuck up everything we just did by changing its level or its spacing or an energetic change. So if I went like, this is my gesture, maybe I do super slow, right? Just like how can we make variation in those 2 gestures we did? If you're doing all arms, add a leg in instead. Do your same gesture but with your leg. How can you make this a little bit have a little bit more variety than what we just did, right? You can change facing, so I wanna see level change, I wanna see facing change, I wanna see energetic change. Okay, giving you 2 minutes to mess up everything you just did, make it a little bit more, add some more detail to it in that sense. So it has more levels to it. Yeah? Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. You can turn the screen off somehow, but I don't remember how.
Yeah, this
I don't know
is,
if
I
this is.
mean, it's
awesome.
okay, I don't really need it, they don't.
No music?
No, music's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's fine.
That's what I was thinking. This is ancient right here. This is like 1990.
Has everyone made their variations? No? One more minute. Does anyone need like clarification on that or help with something? No? See, awesomeness. You guys got it? You're solid? You got your variations? Yeah? Do you have the itis or something? The pasta? Like, okay. We're good. Now, get in groups of 4, please. Any random 4 kind, make up, if you don't know nobody, go to that group. Groups of 4. Groups of 4.
There you go.
Okay? 4.
It's still on, I think we could probably cut that off.